What up? What up? Welcome in everybody to another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we always start this show by being transparent. And yesterday, I had a bad day. 0-1 in the W, 0-1 in MLB, and got to get back on track here today. We're won what 4 days in a row, 5 days in a row, something like that. I think it was four for that. So just got to bounce back here today, and we got our good friend Mr. Rob Veno to help us do it. So Rob, it's great to have you back. How you doing? How's everything been treating you?
We're good, Skee. I took yesterday off. Not like me to skip a game where I could have played Dallas over, but it just seemed like it was too high, and it was too high for a while. But boy, oh boy, they can score, that team. Offensively, they're as good as anybody in the league. So I didn't have anything then. Monday night, I had trying to remember now. If I look here real quick, I can tell you. I had a significant play on the Liberty and Phoenix Mercury over the total, which did not get there. A 9-point first quarter by the Mercury, 18-point first quarter by New York kind of held it back. They missed the number by 9 points. So that sort of put me into college football mode yesterday, and I just went to work on that and left that WNBA game alone. But big schedule tonight, Skee, and I think there's a couple here worth investing in, so we'll talk them out.
I agree for sure. Looking at the chat, we do have some guesses. A couple of things here, Rob. We gotta talk about. One, what color orange is that?
Yeah, we list two oranges, and this is not Nick's orange. This is light orange.
So nobody got it for one. One person said Nick's orange. Nobody. Boofer knows. He says, no, that's not Nick's orange.
He's right.
Light orange.
Yeah. There you go, Boofer.
But that was after he already saw you. So nobody got it right. And if you guys weren't here last time I was with Veno, I think I came to the conclusion that these should be going to members anyway. So, we'll double up next time for when Veno's on the show. And members, make sure y'all get in here and get y'all votes in. The list is there. And it'll be lunch and dinner next time. So make sure you guys get in on that bill. Reminding everybody to smash the like button. Peasy, ready to get to some winners today. And I say, let's get to it. 5 games on the slate in the W. First up, we have 601, 602, Connecticut, and Indiana. Opened up Sun -2.5. They're now 3.5 or 4-point favorite. Total hasn't really moved. It looks like 163.5. Injury report. You do have, let me just make sure here, refresh. You have Tiffany Mitchell, questionable. And then you have Katie Lou Samuelson, game time decision as well, questionable. I should let you go. This is the team you usually like to talk about, I think, Rob, the Connecticut. And going up against the Fever. Fever been playing really good right now. How are you thinking about this game?
Well, I actually did this one earlier this morning for Wagertalk. So I'm kind of surprised nobody got the shirt color, because they could have saw the video this morning and cheated their way to lunch and dinner, or just lunch maybe. But I went through it. Skee, the first way I wanted to play it was Indiana plus the points. I really did. They've been playing really well. 12-5 against the spread, last 17. Inside that 12-5 are straight up wins against some good teams, right? They beat New York on this floor. They beat Minnesota on this floor. They beat Phoenix twice on this floor. So they're not just covering, actually winning games against good teams on this floor. They played Connecticut 3 times and lost all 3. Lost big at home to Connecticut by double digits twice, I think 17-21, then played in Indiana, only lost by 4, 88-84. And I think Connecticut was bet up to a 5.5-point favorite in that game. So a couple of things here. I got scared off of playing Indiana plus 3.5 just because of the defensive disparity. Connecticut can really lock you up. And even though Indiana's scoring a bunch, I just didn't have enough faith to go ahead and take the 3.5. Then I thought, well, I'll turn my attention to Indiana team total over 80.5, because this team has scored over 80 or better in 15 of their last 17. Doesn't matter who they're playing, they get to 80. Then I looked at what Connecticut's done against them. And in 3 games, Connecticut has abused that defense. For whatever reason, their season high against any team, average-wise, is against Indiana. They scored 92, 89, and 88, and there's no overtime. So they're averaging over 89 points a game against this defense. And it just led me to believe that the 163.5 might be a little short. Figuring Indiana has a great opportunity to get to 80. They do it against everybody. Figuring Connecticut scores 89 against this team on average. And then the Katie Lou Samuelson thing came up. But tell you the truth, if you dig into it a little bit, she took herself out of the game the other night or the other day, only 6 minutes in. And Lexi Hull took her minutes. And Lexi Hull is a 41% three-point shooter. Helps them even more. So I think there's a combination of things here, Skee. I think Indiana's defense is so bad, and especially around the arc, where maybe Mabry and Ty Harris can shoot some through the net tonight. They're good enough to do so, and that defense is bad enough to allow it. Indiana plays at pace, so you expect a little more in the possession game here. And I think the 3 games they've played shows that there's a little bit more tempo to their games. I'll say this. I saw an article this morning, I forget where, that said Connecticut's pace of play is up by like 3 or 4 percentage points from 76.7 all the way up to 80 point something since they got Mabry. I think it's enough to get me to the over here. So I played it small, but I played it. Connecticut and Indiana over 163.5.
You're saying some good things there. The chat, Mark says you're on fire this afternoon. You know how I feel about this Connecticut offense.
Make your eyes bleed.
But they do get better when you add Mabry, and the Fever defense, like you mentioned, can definitely give it up. Post All-Star have them as the 3rd worst defensive rated team, but on the offensive end, they're the 2nd best. Pace numbers, for whatever reason, don't match, I feel like, what I'm seeing from the Fever. It says they're 9th in pace post All-Star, but I know they want to get up and down. I think that offensive or Olympic break for Caitlin Clark really helped out and, allowed her to work on some things and elevate her game for the second half of the season. And I think that's a big part of what we're seeing for this Fever team as well. So I agree. I think the Fever will be able to score, even though the Sun are, really good defensive team, and the Sun should be able to return and score too. So I agree with that overlook. If I had to pick a side, it's hard for me to bet against the Fever right now, the way they're playing. And I'm not really in the business of laying with the Sun. Let me look. ATS Sun are 2-3 since the break. Yeah, I don't know. They're 0-2 as a home favorite. That's what it is. 1-1 as road favorites. So I just don't really want to lay with them until they fully figure it out. So I agree with you, Rob. I think over is a good look in this game. A couple more comments. Casey says, give some memberships today, man. Rob got me pissed. I think because she didn't win the shirt challenge. And I gave some memberships out yesterday. And we didn't even have a lot of likes on the show. We got you, Rob.
There he is.
Chat, let me know if I'm lagging or if maybe it's our friend Rob Veno. Hopefully we're okay here. You hear me, Rob?
Yeah, I saw right before it blanked out, it said I pissed Casey off, so I need to know what I did to make her so angry.
I think it's because she didn't win the shirt. The right shirt.
Okay. Well, she hasn't been checking the laundry lately.
Yeah. I gave some memberships out yesterday, and we didn't even have 100 likes on the video yesterday. So I'm gonna check and see if we get some likes today. Maybe I can give out some more memberships. But a couple more comments before we keep going. Cheshire Cat says, I love this duo. It's an unusual combo, but they crush when they put their heads together. Appreciate you, Cheshire Cat. Hope all is well on your end. Eric asks, you don't think the Suns shot their load against the Liberty and are in for a disappointing game here? Well, they did have a few days off after that, right? Let me see. They played the Liberty on the 24th. It is now the 28th. So, you get some time. And I don't think it's too much time where it becomes rust. You would agree?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that 72 points in a game isn't their load. That's what they scored against the Liberty that day, right? It was a 72-64 defensive slugfest. I'm hoping that this defense allows them a little bit more. Like we say, they've done it against Indiana 3 times this year. One last thing, guys. The Connecticut, you talked about not wanting to lay points with them because they're not covering, and they're 0-3 as a favorite against the spread since the break. But they've allowed over 80 points all 3 times on the road. So it's not a team that, their defensive numbers are great, but it seems to me like they're a better home defensive team. Let's put it that way. So hopefully on the road here in Indiana, in Cambridge, we can get this one over 163.5.
All right, I might be joining you on this one. It does sound good. And shout out to First Class Agency for becoming a new member here. Peasy reminded everybody to run up the likes. Appreciate all you guys. Next game up, we have 603, 604 Mystics at Chicago Sky. And this line has been all over the place. It opened up Chicago -1.5. We now have Chicago +2.5. So flip of favorites. Total dropped 1 point from 159.5 to 158.5. As far as the injury report, this is one where it gets important. Shakira Austin has been ruled out. Samuelson is probable, so she should be out there. Carly Samuelson. For the Chicago Sky, Kennedy Carter is missing with health protocols. So, Rob, you like this Mystics team and you like playing them over. And we were having a discussion. I was saying Shakira Austin and Sykes probably changed that a little bit. Now Shakira Austin is out. But Kennedy Carter is also out. So is this a game where you're trying to get to that 160 mark, or are you staying away from it?
I came here to listen to you about these two teams, Skee, because I was warned, fairly warned by you about playing the Mystics over, and then got a text to remind me that I was warned. So I paid attention. Sometimes I'm a little stubborn, but I pay attention. And then with the Sky, the last time we were on, they were playing Connecticut. And I know you had the Sky +11 in a game where they only lost by 2, in a game where maybe I didn't see the Sky the same way that you did. So where these two teams are concerned, I'm more about ears listening to your thoughts here. But you're right. The 2 injuries here make it far more difficult. The Sky without Kennedy Carter, it's difficult to score without her. And Shakira Austin, like you pointed out to me, defensively has made a difference in that team. There's no question. They're a little bit better on the defensive end. The pace has slowed down. So I passed on this one, but we're always here to talk them out. So if you can push me one way or the other, I can get pushed.
Well, let's talk about it. What I saw in the Sky and what I've been seeing in the Sky is they're currently in that last playoff spot, I believe. And they got the dream like right on their tail. They could easily be out of it. So they have to play every game extremely hard, So that's why I knew that they would give effort, amongst probably other things I liked in that last game. Here, it's the same deal. Sky have been losing, but so have the Dream. So not much has changed in the standings. And, they need some win to create separation and prevent themselves from falling out the playoffs. I hate the fact that Kennedy Carter is out. If Kennedy was in, this is an easy go to the window. And, I've already had my Sky ticket placed last night. But without her, it becomes more challenging. But I still think they can do it. No Shakira. I think that's huge. It's a lot less rim protection for the Mystics. You're already down a forward for them. They traded away Maisha Hines-Allen. I mean, how many bigs do they have? You got Steph Dawson, but I think Angel is going to have 20 rebounds again tonight. I think that might be enough for, whether it's second chance points or just owning the paint, or like between her and Cardoso, I think they should have success inside. And I think that they're hungry to win, to, try to get into the playoffs. So Sky at +2.5. That's interesting to me. Angel Reese over her rebound prop. That's interesting to me. Even if it's 14.5, I think she gets 20. So that's how I'm feeling about this game. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I could agree. Washington may revert back to without Shakira Austin being a 3-point oriented team, like you talked about Stephanie Dolson, she seems to spend a lot of her time on offense outside the arc, rightfully so. Best 3-point percentage in the NBA, and the guard tandem there for Washington is capable at times, and without Kennedy Carter hounding somebody, maybe they can break through. I think both teams are playing, and maybe you'd agree with this, I think they're both playing better than they played in the first half at this point in time. I think Washington's gotten better. Chicago, obviously, as you mentioned, playing for that playoff spot is getting a little better. So I hate to bet against two teams that I think are on the rise, or bet a game where two teams are on the rise playing each other. But I could see Chicago at home. Desperation, a lot of times it creates wins. But Chicago wouldn't be in this spot, the desperation spot, if they were a really good team. So that angle proves true too.
I got Kyle in the chat. He says, Sky money line, don't at me. I would agree. I think they get out with the win here in this game. Kyle says, Skee got a piano. Where's your decorator? Beautiful piece there. I'll put you in touch, Kyle. I'll make sure I get you a piano too. Cashville Rican reminding everybody to hit the like button. It says show support for the channel and OG Solid Color, aka Mr. Veno. Appreciate you, Cashville Rican. People disagreeing though. Mark likes the Mystics. Chad likes the Mystics. I'll say Mystics don't have anything to play for. Mystics guard play will be better, but the paint will be owned by the Sky. And we shall see. We'll see who'll be correct. Mystics are dead. They're not making the playoffs. I know that for sure. So the hungry home team, that's where I'll be like, that's where I'm putting my money on the Sky, and I'm putting it on Angel rebounds. And I'll tell you like this, you're not losing both bets. Angel's either going to have 20 rebounds and the Sky win, or one or the other. So that's how I view it. Next game up, we have 605, 606, Dream and Storm. Opened up Storm minus 7.5. They're an 8-point favorite currently. Total opened up 158, and it drops to 155.5. Injury report for the Storm, I don't see anybody on there. For the Dream, Alicia Gray's game time decision. Did she get like elbowed or something? I don't know. Something happened last game. But no, it says it's a back injury that's maybe holding her back. But she did get elbowed that last game. So outside of her, Parker Tyus is out, Ariel Powers is out. So this is that other team here, Rob, that is on the, Chicago Sky's ass, for lack of better terms. And they started out the gate from the break winning, but the past couple have fallen off a little bit. Now they run into a pretty pissed off Storm team after, coming out the break. Let me just look at the recent games. I know they've been bad. So since the break, lost to Atlanta already once, so this can be a little bit of a revenge game too. They lost to the Fever. They did beat the Mystics. Then they lost to the Mystics in their most recent game. And that's a game where I don't know if you saw, Rob, but Skylar was pissed off in the post-game interview. I'll just read it. Let me just read what she said. And then I'll get your thoughts after that. She says, in this league, quote unquote, in this league, if you aren't ready to play, you will fucking lose every fucking night. They were ready to play, and we weren't on both sides of the basketball. They deserve to win if we're going to play like that. We need to be hitting our stride right now. We're not there. It's unacceptable how we're playing on both sides of the basketball. And I fucked it up at the end. That's a terrible foul as a bet. You can't make that play, but it shouldn't fucking come down to that. We all got to step our game up. In this league, it only gets harder after the break, and that's fine. That's fine, but if we don't come ready to play from the start, we're going to fucking lose. And this is a Storm team that's also jockeying for position. So being at home, they were well rested before that last game. We can talk about rest versus rust, but they had, I think, 5 days off before that. I think that they take out their frustrations on this Dream team that they're better than and could be shorthanded tonight. And I think it could be early, probably often. What do you think about it, Veno?
Well, I like the early and often part, but you know my feelings about Seattle, right? And that 74-72 against Washington just shows it. Now, Skylar Diggins said what she said, but they're the absolute worst three-point shooting team in the league. For all the players they have, they don't even shoot 30% from three. Chicago's a terrible three-point shooting team, and Seattle's worse percentage-wise. So you can't count on them every single night to score. And I think that's why they get such up and down results. I've said in the past that when you go through Seattle game logs, they seem to be a bully type team. They feast off the weak, but they get beat by the really good teams. But they didn't feast off the weak the other night. They lost to Washington, which is probably why Skylar Diggins was so upset that, we got to beat this team. If we can't beat this team, where are we going? Gabby Williams was inserted into the rotation. I think that's a huge plus for them, especially on the defensive end. Obviously, Alicia Gray is a huge loss on the offensive end if she doesn't play for Atlanta. She had went through a shooting slump 3-pointers. Then she broke out of it a little bit, and they had that tough loss to Phoenix in their last game, 82-80. I think I was on Atlanta that night. Tough loss. I kind of like the way they were playing Skee. Again, I'll mention Jordan Canada. It seems that when Jordan Canada is in the lineup, they've been very good. But I just don't know about this situation. It's hard for me to bet Seattle simply because I feel like you have to guess when their offense is going to click. Some nights it does. Some nights it doesn't. Their overall statistics are really skewed because of that. But listening to that quote, it would lead me to believe that tonight's probably one of those nights where they listen to their point guard. Her voice probably carries in that locker room, and they probably get out quick. For what it's worth, Tina Charles has been really, really good in the pivot for this team. And Seattle's not that great in the interior. Magvafor is good, but sometimes she's short on size against these other teams. So we'll see. I think if I had to, though, I like your take on first half Seattle. I think that's where I would land if I were to bet this game. I didn't, but I think that's where I would land.
Yeah, I think definitely starts early for them. What's this Alicia Gray? I mean, I'm curious to see if she's going to be out there. But yeah, that is a big difference. I wonder what you think about this. When I view both of these teams, neither really great offensively. Storm, really good defensively. Dream can play some defense too a little bit, but, the total makes sense for it to drop. 158 to 155.5. I just can't help but think, Rob, a lot of the more obvious totals like this have not been going the right direction to start this, or lately, I'll just say. Do you feel that way? And what do you think about the total?
I'm just looking here as we talk, Skee. Seattle's team total is 81.5. When they're right, that's an easy number for them to get over. I could go down their schedule this year, their list of results, and find them over 81.5 in quite a few games. So that could be a way to go. I want to say this real quick, though, about the focus and the mindset, because you talked about it with Chicago hanging on to that last playoff spot and the Dream being the team chasing them, only one game behind. So you have to feel that the Dream is going to play hard here. Whether that correlates into covering 8 points, I don't know, but you're going to get effort. Far be it from me to play any game totaled at 155.5 under. I can't do it. Even in this league where sometimes you watch in the offense, you just cover your eyes and say, my God, what is going on out here? So I might look towards Seattle team total over Skee, to be honest with you. If they come out and they're right, 81.5 is not a big number for them.
And I could see that Seattle team total 81.5. Let me just look. Get back over here to their recent games. They have, you said 81.5. They've hit it only once lately, but I mean it's definitely doable. Definitely doable. I think tonight would be the night, if any night. So good stuff on that one. We're moving on over to the next game. That is 607, 608, Liberty and Sparks. Game opened up Liberty minus 12.5, 13.5 point favorites now. Total up 2 points to 165.5. Injury report. Let me get this here. Nobody on there for the Liberty. For the Sparks, still without the same 3 guards they've been without: Lexi Brown, Clarendon, Arian McDonald. So first off for me here, Rob, is really 2 things. And I guess it's correlating in a way. But Liberty, they have played for the most part, besides, was it the last game? Let me make sure. The last game, did they just lose? I know since the break,
No.
they've been kind of on
They
a mission.
They beat Phoenix in their last game, I think.
Okay. So it must have been the game before
Monday.
that. Yeah. Versus Connecticut. Okay. So outside of that Connecticut game, they look like a team on a mission. They've been playing, even when the offense is not clicking, you're getting effort, you're getting really good defense, and they look really, really good. As far as the Sparks, like, I'm going a little bit more on that, Rob. Looking at their opponents since the All-Star break, we have, man, I'm just going to say the numbers: 68, 67, 74, 71, 72, and 70. Nobody has scored more than 74 points on the Liberty since the All-Star break. This is a Sparks team who missing 3 guards, starting point guard. Crystal Dangerfield, I try my best not to trash these ladies, but man, she used to be so much better in my eyes. I don't know what happened to her. That's all I'll say. I'm not really, a believer in her. They still do have Sims though, right? So on that 7-day. So I do like Sims. But I'm just saying this all to say I don't really trust the Sparks offensively. Liberty, if they come with that same effort that they've had all second half of the break, since the break, Sparks are going to struggle to score here. So I'm not understanding why the total is going up to 165.5. And looking at a team total, I mean, they haven't given up more than 74 since the break. Sparks team total is 75.5, 76.5. Under Sparks team total or full game under is how I'm feeling on this one, Vino. What do you think?
Can we cash 2 tickets tonight going opposite ways? Because I bet Liberty team total. I bet Liberty team total over 89.5. They just beat this team, Skee, coming out of the break 103-68. To your point, under 76.5. They only got 68. To my point, over 89.5. They got to 103. Win by 35 points with no let up whatsoever in that game. And you're killing the team the whole game, and you keep killing them for 4 quarters. I think it shows, to your earlier point, that the Liberty have come out to kind of show that the Aces aren't the team anymore. We're the team. You want to win this thing, you're going through us. And they've proven it by beating some, they didn't beat Connecticut, but they beat the Aces by 12 and then came back and had a poor offensive game against Connecticut. There's some things here to me that just scream over for the New York side here. First of all, where the guards are concerned, when you insert Crystal Dangerfield and Odyssey Sims as the 2 replacements for the guards that are injured and look like they may be out for a while, then you automatically increase tempo. Los Angeles' tempo right now, last 5 games, is ranked number 1 in the league, and it's an outrageous number. It's like 101.4 is their pace rating right now, which is crazy. Some of that's due to the fact that they played Dallas in that 113-110 the other night. And then they have the absolute worst 3-point percentage defense in the league. They give up like 37.5% per game. And New York feasts off 3-pointers. They make the most. They shoot the most. They buried them in that 103-68 game. They buried threes. And I don't see why they wouldn't here again. Why Sabrina, Jonquel Jones, all these 3-point shooters that they have don't go crazy in this game and get to 90 points. So that's the way I played it. I think it was the safest way to play it, although I can't disagree that a safe way to play it would be LA Sparks under as well. I mean, their front line, which is actually, it's pretty good, right? With Stevens and Jackson and company, they're pretty good. But New York's front line offsets that. So I don't know where LA is going to get points from here, but I do think the Liberty's going to get over 89. They've kind of had, they played Phoenix the other night, which is a defense from 3 that's very comparable to this one. I think Phoenix is second worst. LA is worst. Or Phoenix is second worst over the last 5 games defending the 3. And they hit 12 threes, 12 of 29, 49% or 41%. So I can see this one where New York just starts scoring early, keeps scoring. For what it's worth, since the break, the Sparks have given up over 100 points in 2 games. Did it with the Liberty, did it with Dallas, gave up 90 to Chicago, who's not a real high-scoring team. So I'm on the New York Liberty over 89.5 here.
Gotta tell you, Rob, that makes me feel uncomfortable. And what you said about the pace is reflected here. They're number 1 since the break in pace. I don't know. It's not very high on my list anymore. I don't like seeing that when I want to bet unders. I don't want teams to be flying up and down the floor with a bunch of opportunities to score the ball. So I'll just let you have this game. We don't even have to fight about trying to get a middle. You got it.
All right.
Last game on the slate, we have 609, 610. Minnesota and Phoenix opened up Lynx minus 3.5. They're now a 4-point favorite. Total open 162.5. Hasn't really moved. So I don't feel very strong about this game, Rob. Maybe I should just pass it to you. I'll say Lynx. I feel like they've been playing really, really good right now. I know Phoenix needs to win too, standings wise, but do we trust them versus Lynx?
Yeah, I'm just trusting my eyes with this play, Skee. And I mean, there are some numbers to back it up as well, especially post-Olympic break. There's some real numbers to back it up. But I just see these teams going way different directions. I see, if New York is the sheriff in town, then Minnesota is making their case for being the high-rising deputy because they're beating everybody right now. 5-0 since the break, 5-0 against the spread. Nafisha Collier, they went through that semi-slump before the break, but it's because Collier was out, and now she's back. And they made a couple moves even, acquisitions to bolster their team somewhat. They've been the best three-point shooting team in the league percentage-wise all season long, basically. They shoot it well overall. Their field goal percentage, I think, is 2. And we know they can play defense. Then when I look at Phoenix, and I just wonder, there used to be a trend where when Major League Baseball had their All-Star break and you have all these guys participating in not only the game, but maybe events, when they came back, you would look for the team that sent the most people there, and maybe they would be a little bit fatigued. I'm not going to say it for all 3 that went to Paris for Phoenix, but Diana Taurasi looks tired. Diana Taurasi has not been the same player since post-Olympic break. And when you don't have Rebecca Allen, the whole rotation is shortened up, and it kind of becomes the Kalia Copper and Brittany Griner show, which is really what it's been. And if nobody else seems to want to help on this team right now, I mean, Sophie Cunningham doesn't do much offensively. And like I say, Taurasi hasn't been good. So when I look at that and I think of the defense that Minnesota has, I can't see Phoenix. After watching them the other night, second half, New York just put their foot down and said, that's it. We're tied at halftime. We're going to break away here. And they did. And I think Minnesota, the way they're going, can do it from start to finish here. For what it's worth, the Minnesota Lynx, who are a methodical, or at least we've known them most of the season to be a methodical offensive team, they're putting up points where you don't have to be afraid to lay numbers. And this one's kind of small, 3.5 or 4. But they've scored 87 in 4 of the 5 games they've played, 87 or more in 4 to 5 games since the break. And they've scored 90 or more in 3 of those. If they get to 90, you're not going to cover against them if you're Phoenix, I wouldn't think. So to me, and shout out to Ronald Kabang and his Moneyballer website for giving me a couple of these numbers. But Phoenix, since the break, is one of the worst 3-point defenses. And believe it or not, Skee, they're the slowest paced team in the league. How in the world is that team going to win playing slow pace? Phoenix doesn't want to be in half court basketball, but for some reason, whether it's fatigue or not, they become very slow paced. They give up more second chance points percentage wise than any team in the league last 5. So there's just so many situations or matchups that Minnesota can take advantage of, and they're playing really good. I think laying 4 with them is, I'm on it. I played it, so I can recommend it to the audience here. That's just the way I see it. And again, if you're only doing the eye test with these two teams, watching games, I think you'd come to the same conclusion. Minnesota's just flat out the better team right now.
I would agree. They are the better team right now. They're healthier. They're playing, everything. Minnesota checks out. Um, they've covered every game since the break. Phoenix, one thing I want to look at. I can take this off here now.
I think real quick, Skee, they've won them all by double digits too since the break.
I wanted to take a glance at the standings once again to see where Phoenix is at. 16 and 15. Fever could honestly still catch them and pass them, but they're not really in danger of getting knocked out of the playoffs. Just kind of jockeying for position, I guess, if you will. I could see the Lynx winning. I do think Rebecca Allen is a big piece for this team, and they've had a very tough schedule since the break. They've had a lot of road games and just a lot of games in general. Like they played, I guess they've played 6 now, but it seemed like, they had a break recently where they had a few days off, but they've had a tough go of it. That's what I'll say since the break. I guess I'm leaning towards Lynx with you. I'm not quite at the window just yet. Look at a couple comments. Nobody really into this game, I guess. So, Pretentious Prodigy is looking to back the Lynx, it looks like. All right, Rob, we got through all of the WNBA. I wanted to ask just real quick. Football is here. We got college football already. NFL is coming up. I don't really care too much about college football, but I did go through all the NFL teams. I made futures. I'm looking at week 1. I've been just waiting and trying to narrow down my short list, looking at this week 1, but we haven't talked about it. Cool to go through a little bit of my short list with you and see how you feel.
Yeah, sure. We can do it again at the end of the week too, if you want.
All right. So see if we got a banner here now. Yeah, let's just look at a couple things. So I want to start off. I'll save something just in case we don't agree at first. Something I think we will agree on. But in the beginning of the season, I feel like it's pretty straightforward. The better teams, get the job done. That's just my thought of how the first couple weeks go for the NFL. And when I look at it, the ones that stand out to me are the Dolphins beating the Jaguars. I feel like the Dolphins, got a little bit better. I like their secondary, and I'm just not a believer in Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jags over there. So at home for Miami, it's pretty hard for me to see them losing that game. How do you feel about that?
I think Miami's going to win that division, to tell you the truth, because I just think they can outscore everybody. In Buffalo, in the end, they'll probably hurt a little bit from the losses that they've sustained, including like Gabe Davis, that wide receiver. Not a household name, Gabriel Davis, but he made some big catches for that team. And now he plays on the other side here. Jacksonville. I think the AFC South overall, Houston, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and Indianapolis all got better. To me, that division's the most improved in football. I kind of like that game over, Skee. I think Jacksonville can score.
I like that too.
And I know Miami can score. So I see, as we look right now, I just see Bookmaker, which is a pretty good indicator, push to 50 on that total. It had been sitting 49 and a half. But if I'm going to play, that's the way I like it. And it looks to me like I better play quickly, because if they move to 50, that means that number is probably going to go.
Well, I'm in agreement with that over. That's kind of some of what I'm holding out. And I'll just say this. I'll go down the list. There's a few overs that I'm looking at, and all of them could be worth playing. That's one of them. I'll maybe shift to this one. I'll give you both of them. I think that the Lions and Rams, the Rams, they spend all their money on offense. They spend no money on defense. They get some guys back, who are healthy now. I just see that one being a really, really a shootout. And maybe I'll just give you all three real quick, and we can just see which ones stand out to you. Titans and Bears. The Titans changing their philosophy to more pass heavy attack, adding some weapons for that, etc. Bears get a good rookie quarterback and give him some weapons. Keenan Allen is really good with DJ Moore as far as how they complement each other. I think that both teams are capable of putting up points through the air there. And then one last but not least, Cardinals and Bills over 48. I mean, you give Kyler Murray um, a really good receiver. You have a young defense, young secondary for the Cardinals who probably will take some time to gel. For the Bills, they lost their entire secondary. I mean, and Josh Allen, even though he lost Diggs and Davis, Josh Allen, he's a one man army. I think he can still do some things on the offensive end, and if he doesn't, he'll be turning it over and giving it to the Cardinals to score. So those are the other three overs: Lions, Rams, Titans, Bears, Cardinals, Bills. Can you talk me off any of them?
I won't talk you off Titans Bears. I think the way you sum that up is pretty good. Listen, Caleb Williams brings a ton of problems to the defensive side. And I know that defensive coordinators in the NFL are really smart, and they tend to be, they tend to create problems for rookie quarterbacks, right? But when you haven't seen a guy yet, I think Caleb Williams can cause problems for them. And mainly because, like you said, they have weapons on that offense now. It's not like Caleb Williams got drafted to a team at number one where he has to be a one-man show. Plenty of weapons for him. His playmaking ability is great. And as much as I like Tennessee's improvement, I think their improvement, again, is on the offensive side. You hire an offensive-minded head coach, Callahan from Cincinnati. We know what Cincinnati's offense did with Joe Burrow. And then you add DeAndre Hopkins. And then you add Tyler Boyd to DeAndre Hopkins. And Calvin Ridley was the other addition. That's a pretty good receiving crew. Tony Pollard from Dallas is your running back now. I just like Tennessee's offense to be able to produce. You hope Will Levis does the right thing, but I won't talk you off that one. The Buffalo, Arizona, the number might keep me away a little bit because the number's in a place where I don't know that I'm comfortable as of yet. But the other game that you mentioned before that was Detroit and LA, and I don't see how that one doesn't make it to, like 54. And we're sitting here at 51. I don't remember what the score of the playoff game was last year, Skee. Maybe I can look that up quick, but I know it was a high-scoring game. The Matt Stafford Lions game, or maybe it was a game where there was a lot of opportunity and it didn't get to 51. But still, all that being said, these two offenses are really, really good. And we know they both score on anybody. So I kind of like that. I would say out of the three, the only one I'd be a little hesitant on is Arizona Buffalo, just because the number is placed at 48.
All right. All right. So just hesitant on the number. I'll take it. At least you're not really too big against them. I'll ask you this in the big group question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins versus the Jags, Bengals versus the Patriots, Lions versus the Rams. Who loses that? Who loses out of those three teams?
Well, the Bengals don't lose.
They
They don't lose. Boy, I don't know that any of them. I guess the LA did play Detroit tough last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's if I had to choose one, Skee, I'd say. Although I think the Lions might win the NFC this year, but if there's a game out of those three, I don't think Miami's going to lose. I definitely, like I say, Cincinnati's not losing, so I'll give you Detroit, maybe Detroit.
Maybe Detroit. Nathan agrees. Otto, though, he says the Dolphins could take a L. He sounds like Otto is big on those Jags in the chat. Earlier he said the Jags got better. He said Dolphins going to lose. He must be big on those Jaguars this year. All right, another group of three here, Rob. Texans and versus the Colts, Browns versus the Cowboys, Steelers and Falcons. Or is there more than one team that's going to lose?
Well, Dallas is always subject to lose. So Cleveland at home, even with Watson at quarterback, has the potential there. I'm going to say this about the Colts. That was one of my future bets. I played the Colts to win over 8.5 games this year. I played them to be a 9-8 team. So maybe I'm a little higher on the Colts than a lot of people. But this is a Houston team that's totally healthy right now, coming in here with a lot of expectations. If I can just skip the side ski and say that I think that game is a definite over. There's no question in my mind that game should be an over. And then the other game you gave me, which one was it? It was
Steelers, Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers. You want to know if the Steelers are going to lose or the Falcons are going to lose? The Steelers are going to lose. Come on. They're not marching Russell Wilson out there and winning that game against that team. I mean, no. So, yeah, I would think out of those three, Dallas has a chance to lose. Steelers have a chance to lose. Houston probably will not lose, but I think that game will go over.
That Houston and Colts game, it is one of those week 1 divisional home dogs. And it does. I mean, you look at the numbers, they've had some success, but Houston, man, it's hard for me to think that they don't just go out there and flex on them. I agree the Colts are good too, but I think Houston is just better.
Yeah. No, they are. I mean, with a healthy, that's what I'm saying. Week 1, like you said in the beginning, the good teams, when they walk out here perfectly healthy in week 1, usually do the job. I think over the course of time, 17-game season, the Colts will find their way to 9 wins. Really good offensive line, top 3 in the league. Really good defensive line, top 10 in the league. Their problem, I'll tell you the truth, Skee, and the reason why I'm going to play over, the Colts' biggest problem is the secondary. It stinks. And you're not giving C.J. Stroud and now Stephon Diggs on top of everything else. He may throw for 300-plus opening day against that team indoors. We'll see what Anthony Richardson can do to their defense. Tough to prepare for Anthony Richardson, who seemed to be getting it going before he got hurt last year. But that's a good team, too, offensively. So I think over 48.5 is a nice play there. No Chargers talk?
All right, let's do another group. I don't really want to talk about the Chargers, so I'll do another grouping. How about that? Chargers versus the Raiders. I'm gonna tell you this. We'll talk about it just because it's my team. We get a better coach, right? Does that mean they just turn things around right away, right now, to start the season? The first, I'm not believing it's gonna be just like that. Yes, they could beat the Raiders in week 1. Am I willing to put my money on it? No, I'm absolutely not. Would I be surprised if they lose and don't have a good year? No, I would not. So that's my feelings and thoughts on this Chargers team, Rob. So we're not even going to put them in a group, actually. What do you think the Chargers are going to be good? You think Harbaugh is going to turn them around?
No, I'm just thinking in my head, from your perspective, you don't want to be laying no 3.5 with the Chargers. No. Hell no, that's not the spot you want them in. And,
absolutely.
And then I look at the other side, and all I can think of was, I don't know if we were in the Golden Nugget or what, but it was infested with Raider fans, and how you were like, "Fuck these Raider fans."
Yeah, it makes me sick when I see that silver and black. Honestly, for real, I hate it.
Man. But to Harbaugh, to the point about Harbaugh, real quick, all it really means is that a lot of things are going to be different, right? I mean, you as a Charger fan, every Charger fan probably got sick of Brandon Staley and his coaching, which was terrible decision making. Be more run oriented. More physical type play, offensive, defensive line play will get better. So it'll be a different looking team. I'm not willing to bet their games yet until I see exactly what they look like.
Fair. All right, I'll ask this. This is one we have to talk about. This is one we definitely should speak about. And I'm looking for a comment that made me think about it. Guy Otto, Chiefs going to unload on the Ravens in week 1. He says, new starting left guard and right tackle for the Ravens with 2 new coordinators. Give me Chiefs in the under. I mean, what's really going to change? Is it just the good old revenge angle here? Everybody wants Baltimore to get revenge, or what is it? I know a big part of my argument last year was who are we trusting in the playoffs? Now it's not the playoffs; it's week one. I still think Chiefs can flex on them. How you feel about it?
I'm trying to remember, Skee. I think that the Chiefs played this game last year against the Lions at home and lost,
Mm.
if I'm right. I think the Lions covered. It was really closer. The Lions won the game, one or the
They
other.
won. They won.
The Lions won?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that sticks in the Chiefs' mind. The solo game on Thursday night to start the season, walk out there and lose. Probably not doing that again. The other thing is you can't give Patrick Mahomes extra receivers with 4.2 speed. Xavier Worthy
They were
is going to
worthy.
be the problem for them. Most teams run around trying to get enough guys to cover Kelsey. And meanwhile, you got these guys running. We remember what Tyreek Hill used to do there. I'm not saying Worthy is Tyreek Hill, but I'm just saying you can't give Mahomes these types of weapons and expect that you're going to be able to defend them. I don't care who you are. I agree. Kansas City is the right side. I'll be there. Baltimore's a really good team. But I just, until proven differently, Skee, and like you just said, in that playoff game last year, I remember doing those shows with you, and all the
Good
pushback the
times.
chat was given on the radio, all the pushback, and it's the same old story. They do know how to defend Lamar really well. Credit to
Yeah.
the defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, who does a really good job. So I'll be on the Chiefs there.
I just had a moment. I should probably I might have to pull that clip up again when the game day comes. But it was like a review after the game, and I was just laughing about all the things that were said and how the game went. And I said, I, I'm pretty sure as close to a quote as I can get. You know what the funniest thing about this is? These Lamar backers will be right here doing it again next year. That's what I said in the show.
Yeah, they don't go away. They don't go away. There's always an excuse. And last year it was we stopped running the ball in that game. Well,
Yeah.
you asked Lamar to throw to win and he couldn't do it. I mean, that's just factual.
It's gonna make me start oh my god. Those are good times, Rob. I enjoyed myself tremendously during those playoffs. I have a question for you. I don't know if you have an answer. Are the Giants just that terrible, or why are all the sharps betting the Vikings?
Yeah, I think, two things here. A, I do think the Giants are that terrible. They're stuck with Daniel Jones. The offensive line has been a major problem, gotten him hurt almost every year. And it's really not that much better, Skee, to tell you the truth. They traded away Saquon Barkley. They're not any better. And where the Vikings are concerned, and they kind of revealed a little of it in preseason, they're going to be a pass-happy offense. Not that they weren't already, but they've got a passing game, even with Sam Bradford. And that should tell you something, right? Sam Bradford, or no, excuse me, Sam Darnold. Sam Bradford, Jesus. Sam Darnold's the quarterback here, and they're still betting the Vikings because he looked great running this offense. Preseason doesn't mean everything, but I know there's been some alterations to this offense tailored to the passing game. I don't think the Giants have a good enough pass rush to get to Darnold, and I can understand. What I might not understand is why this game isn't being bet total-wise over, because Minnesota's defense is not good, and the Giants, as bad as they are, might be able to find their way to 17 or 20, and that one is still lose.
That'll be a game where that will not be in my pocket. I can almost guarantee that's not one that I'll be looking at there. So listen to whatever Rob has to say is what I would say. All right,
Play
Rob,
it over.
a couple more thoughts here as I'm looking down the list. First, I mean, people like Carolina too, but I don't really want to talk about them. Tennessee and Chicago. I mean, we talked about those teams. We talked about it being an over. But rookie quarterback first game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is this Chicago team that we really want to be laying points with at all throughout the year? That's just my thought. And Tennessee, they're more than capable offensively to be able to keep up in this game. I think 4.5 points seems rich. How you feel about that one?
Totally agree. I mean, there's not much separation talent-wise on paper between these two teams. I mean, the Bears are up and coming, yes, but Tennessee is as well. I think maybe because Tennessee has a new head coach and a new coaching staff, and there's some new things going on. Maybe that's why there's some lean on Chicago. And Chicago's a hype team right now. Obviously, a lot of people are even picking Chicago to be a sleeper to win that division. Anything's possible in the NFL because teams go from worst to first every year. But I think Tennessee plus 4.5. I mean, I don't see 4.5 point gap. And I don't know that, on its best days, Soldier Field is worth the home field price. But where it currently is, I don't know if that home field is good enough or strong enough to, push them over the top. So while I think they could win, we know these NFL games come down to one-score games, and 4.5 is a lot. You're crossing key numbers of 3 and 4 if you're willing to lay it. And I think that hook may save you in this game. So I would only look Tennessee as far as the side is concerned.
All right, I like that. I like that we're on the same page there. And there's the last one I want to talk about here. That is Green Bay and Philadelphia. And I just want to talk about it from a perspective of a lot of people are high on Green Bay. Jordan Love, his interception to touchdown ratio and everything, really, really good, etc. A lot of people are high on Green Bay. I hear people down on Philadelphia, thinking that we could have coaches fired very soon. Just not being believers in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is here favored in week 1. So I'm curious, you're over there in that Philly area. Are you having those same kind of thoughts about that team? And do you think Jordan Love is as good as advertised?
Well, two things. I think that the thoughts on Philly and maybe the dissension or lack of communication between head coach and quarterback, which has been, I think some of it's overblown, honestly. I think it's early excuse making for what may happen down the road. But I don't think it has anything to do with the talent that they assembled. Howie Roseman did a great job putting talent on the field for the Eagles here. And offensively, they just added, oh, goodness gracious. They just added a very good, Jahan Dotson, a slot receiver from Washington, to go with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley in the backfield. That offense, the only thing I worry about offensively, Skee, with them is Jason Kelsey's gone. And for those who, know.
They still have a good offensive line, but yes, he's a big part.
The only difference is he makes all those calls for the blocking schemes. Like he's the guy who looks out and says, you take him, you take him, you take him. We'll see if it goes smooth without him. That's my only concern about them moving the football on Green Bay's defense. Other side of the field, Philly's got a lot of new pieces on defense. They're better. I mean, on paper, they're better, but does it work right away against Green Bay's offense, which has Josh Jacobs running back for the Raiders now? They're going to be explosive too. I think, we've talked a lot of overs today, but if the weather's good in that game and you're going to tell me that game can't get to 24 aside, I'd be very, very surprised. It would have to be something where one of the quarterbacks got hurt or there were mass turnovers when you're in scoring position, something to stop that thing from getting over 48.5. So yeah, I think that Philly's going to be okay. And the talk is just speculation in case things go bad. There's 2 coordinators here, just as thoughts run through my head. 2 brand new coordinators here. Kellen Moore, Dallas's ex-Dallas offensive coordinator, and Vic Fangio, who's a longtime defensive coordinator. And to what I hear here in Philadelphia, basically these guys are running their own show. And they're not taking any input from Nick. Like Nick Sirianni's just out there to oversee. Don't come in my office and tell me what to do with the defense, get lost. Don't come in here and tell me what to do with my offense, get lost. And Jalen Hurts is got a pretty good rapport with Kellen Moore so far. So Kellen Moore is kind of the conduit in that feud or that breakdown in communication between Hurts and Sirianni. So they're good, Skee. I think if things go sour, they'll blame it on that. Media will blame it on that. But I think they're going to be really, really good, especially on the offensive side.
All right, last question here, Rob. Sounds like you're pretty down on the Steelers. Well, what is the main things you do not like about the Steelers?
In the NFL, we watch it enough, Skee, to where, and I hate the fact that quarterbacks get all the glory in a team game. Like the quarterback can't do his job without help from a million other places. But in this case, I don't think either one of these quarterbacks is capable. I really don't. Russell Wilson's over the hill. Justin Fields is just good enough to give you a couple wow plays and get you to the 20 and then do something stupid to lose the ball for you. So I just don't think they're going to be consistent enough quarterback play wise. The defense is always good. And you can only hand it off and play it safe with your quarterback so much. Eventually, you got to be able to open the playbook for your guys. I don't think Pittsburgh's there yet.
Well, I would remind me. I'm blanking out. Who was the quarterback last year for the Steelers?
Well, they had multiple, right? Because a couple guys got hurt. It was
Pickett, right?
From Pittsburgh, right? Kenny Pickett, right?
Yeah.
He got hurt. And then, boy, I had a bad.
So my main thing is, are either of these guys, Fields or Russell Wilson, worse than Pickett?
I don't know that they're worse, but in the same breath, I'd say I don't know that they're any better.
Okay, well, they played with Pickett, and they got to 8 wins last year. I would argue both of these guys are better than Pickett. Pittsburgh, I think the defense is going to be what wins them games. I don't think Russell Wilson has to do too much besides just take care of the ball, which is what he's good at. So maybe we'll feel a little bit different. We'll see how it shakes out for the Steelers. I think the Steelers will be all right. This is what Buford says. Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, there's no way anybody can tell me those guys are better than Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. I'm sorry, Rob.
But can you tell me they're definitively better? Like if they get to 8 wins, that's still 8 and 9. Is that good enough? I mean, in that division with Baltimore, Cincy, and Cleveland, it's hard.
Fair. Tough division. So we shall see how the Steelers end up. But you don't think they have a shot in week 1? I would say Atlanta still has a lot to prove. I mean, Kirk Cousins, he's coming in, right? How's he going to look in his first game over there?
I think – go ahead, Skee.
No, I'm just I think Atlanta, they've shown that they can trick off a lot of games. They still have to prove themselves. That's how I feel about that team.
Yeah, I think a couple of things here. They know the other team's offensive coordinator, right? Arthur Smith was just their head coach. Now he's the OC in Pittsburgh. They've had 5 months. It's different in week 1 because it's not like it's a 6-day turnaround or a 4-day turnaround if you happen to have the Thursday game. But Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, like Mike Tomlin hasn't even announced who's going to be the starter yet, right? And I don't know why not, because the coaching staff on the other side has had 5 months to get ready for either one. They've known who the 2 quarterbacks are, and the team has had 2 months on the field to prep for either one. And they know the other guy's system because he just ran it there for the last 2 years. So I think there's built-in advantages to the Atlanta side in week 1 in that game, plus the fact that the talent is upgraded all over the place. So if Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are an upgrade at quarterback, then Kirk Cousins again over Desmond Ridder is a tremendous upgrade in quarterback for that side. So I think Atlanta's probably it's situationally based too, Skee, because a lot of these games, NFL, we know a lot of times it's just situation, not even who has the better team, just situation. I think Atlanta's got an edge.
They said Wilson was announced a starter today.
Oh, okay.
So
Russ
Cousins with new offensive coordinator. I mean, maybe you gotta take a little bit of time to learn. I don't know. I feel like the Steelers are kind of live in week 1. I don't think a lot of people would think so, but I wouldn't be surprised if Steelers win week 1. Casey says 115 watching, y'all. Hit the like button. We're gonna take a look at that. Before I go look at it,
I'm
we'll see.
withdrawing
Do
the
we?
shirt money.
Yeah, we're gonna see. um, Emotional critic says, "Skee, I got a question. Do you think Angel Reese should win Rookie of the Year over Caitlin Clark?" If you asked me before All Star break, I would probably entertain the question, but after All Star break, not really going to entertain it anymore. I think probably not. No, Caitlin Clark should win. Um, so we're moving on over to best bets here, Rob. Actually, um, before I do that, just a reminder for everybody. Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. It's probably gonna cover us, but it is what it is. Money Baller, you shouted it out earlier. I brought it up on the screen. Our guy Ronald Cabane put together this website. It's a great way to cap games, in a timely manner. It has stuff color coded, all the trends, etc., etc. A good one-stop shop for handicapping. So if you're interested in checking it out, there's a link in the description, and use coupon code SKEE. You'll get 50% off your first month. So shout out to my guy RC and the Money Baller. Now, Rob, damn, I messed that up. All right, let's see if we can do this correctly. Move it over to best bets. I'll ask you if there's anything you would like to promote. And then we talked WNBA, we talked NFL week 1. Is there anything you would like to drop as a best bet for the show?
Sure. Real quick, I'll very quickly promote a Wager Talk special for the opening of football season. Guys, I'm a big college football guy. You go over to wagertalk.com, buy 2 weeks, get one for free. So they're giving you 3 weeks for the price of 2. That promotion is over there on my homepage. It's all linked in the description. All my info is linked in Skee's description for this show. So if you're interested in subscription packages, good time. Huge college football weekend. And it begins tomorrow night. My best bet would have to be that you would pick Caitlin Clark over Angel Reese. I mean, you like shooters. Angel Reese from 3 feet away can't shoot. So Caitlin Clark probably does win that Rookie of the Year the way things are going. For me, I'll go back to the game we talked about with the Sparks and the Liberty. I think the Liberty are getting 90 plus here. Everything adds up to them having a big night from 3. The fact that the Sparks with Odyssey Sims and Crystal Dangerfield get up and down the floor at the rate they're getting up and down, that just gives you a lot of opportunities to score points. And I think the Liberty have shown they're more than capable of doing so. So give me Liberty team total up and over 89.5.
All right, good stuff, Mr. Veno. My best bet, I just went and checked it. It's still available. I'm going to go, I know player prop was nasty yesterday, but we're going to go back to a player prop again today. And we're rolling with Angel Reese over 14.5 rebounds. She's had, 20 rebounds in back-to-back games. You now have a very small Mystics team where she can take advantage. She can make some more history and do it again. So 14.5 over rebounds for Angel Reese will be my best bet for the show. Veno, I appreciate you taking the time to come and cap these games with me. And that NFL segment helped me out quite a bit, so I appreciate that as well. Friday, if you are available, we'll come back and we can do it again. To the chat, appreciate all of you as well. A lot of great cappers, a lot of great people, and it just makes the show enjoyable and helpful to do this with you guys. So appreciate you. Best of luck if you guys tell. Good luck on all of your action. No WNBA tomorrow, so we'll see. Maybe I'll come talk MLB, but back on Friday for sure. Peace.